it is not only so fun, like watching really sexy basketball being played, but then because we all know how basketball works and how the NBA works, game of runs, never know what's going to be thrown at you. But in Kingsland, usually when something is thrown at you, there's no coming back. But not with this team. You're just seeing so much growth game by game. Adversity hits. Donovan Mitchell doesn't miss a damn shot. And Kings don't care. They fought. They battled all the way through. Just a fantastic win for the Kings. Truly, truly. And it feels so good to talk about it like this.
I love it.
I know.
And let me Bob Ross you for a second, if you don't mind.
What does that mean?
Paint you a picture.
Oh, God.
Let's just talk about how the season has gone, Morgan.
Okay.
The last 3 games, the officiating's been terrible. I failed even to mention the Orlando game, where there's 5 missed calls in the final 2 minutes.
Wow.
Including that Malik Monk play where he got fouled in the corner. You talk about the Miami game. You talk about the Warriors. You talk about a tough schedule, a new team, a new coaching staff, an 0-4 start. Some guys not playing well. 2 of your starters from the start of last year, Rashawn Holmes and Harrison Barnes, have been up and down. Holmes hasn't played the last 2 games and 5 minutes before that. And then what happens? The Kings find ways. They get punched, and before, you'd give them a little flick in the ear and they'd fall down and pass out.
Facts.
Today, they're taking punches. They're taking the Donovan Mitchell just
What
like,
is
bah, bah.
No one.
Donovan Mitchell didn't miss a shot in the third quarter. The Cavs missed 2 shots in the third quarter. Mitchell was 7 of 7, 17 points. It didn't matter because the Kings punched back. Everyone contributed tonight. If I would have told you before the game,
Oh, here he goes.
my favorite, Morgan loves.
This is what he does.
If I would have told you before the game
Such a great bit. Please.
that Donovan Mitchell would have 38 points, including 17 of those in a perfect third quarter, and De'Aaron Fox would finish with 15 points against a Cavs team that was coming into tonight on fire, but besides losing to the Clippers, but they had a really good season. What would you say?
I'd be like, oh, man, the Kings got the loss.
They got the
You
loss.
can ask me again?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
You would have said the Kings
Yeah.
lost and lost big.
Only because, and mostly because of what De'Aaron Fox has been doing in that column, right? He's been scoring the shit out of the ball. And if you were to tell me that before the game, I'd be like, shucks, that's a loss. But it wasn't.
No, and Fox played really well tonight. 6 of 14. The shooting wasn't great, but I thought he was fantastic. Some great late game decisions. He had 8 assists, no turnovers. What's your big takeaway when you take a step back? Is there a player, a play, a moment, something that jumps out to you specifically about this game for the Sacramento Kings?
2 players. 2 players. And let's get to the second one first. But I'm just going to say Malik Monk coming off the bench, and we'll talk about him. But first, I want to get to Harrison Barnes.
HB.
Because we've obviously been criticizing his game the last couple of games, and he's deserved it. He's been shooting awful beyond the arc, like not making even an open 3, and just wasn't filling up the other stats, right? Tonight, leading rebounder for the Sacramento Kings, 9 boards against a team in the Cavs who really good rebounding team. He battled down there. He was a big body, a big presence right away. I think he had some key rebounds that made a difference. But not only that, he was hitting his shots. You saw he ended up with 20 points, 3 assists. He was 2 for 4 from beyond the arc. And Deuce, that's the type of game, of course, we would love to see Harrison Barnes have almost any night. But on a night that De'Aaron Fox doesn't add to the points column, it's great to see Harrison Barnes step up.
He did it on 8 shots. I think for me, it's Harrison Barnes too, the way he started the game.
Yeah.
Because tonight was going to be a challenge rebounding the basketball with this Cavs team that's so big. In fact, you look at the final rebounding numbers, putrid. 42-24 Cleveland. But Harrison Barnes came out early and he was attacking the glass. Morgan mentioned the points, the assists. He had 9 rebounds, a season high. He also had a couple of steals tonight. I felt like he did a great job trying to go after rebounds, knocking down his shot. he came into tonight shooting 16%
That's
from
what I'm
three,
saying.
which it's so bizarre to me because of how good of a shooter he has been over the years.
Yeah.
He knocked it down tonight. He felt like he got into a good rhythm, so that was awesome to see. And I even felt late, man. There was a play where it's a close game down the stretch in the fourth quarter, and Harrison Barnes has Darius Garland to try to contain. He forced Darius Garland into a tough look. Darius Garland's an all-star. I don't know if he was banged up. I know some people on our Discord were like, hey, he looked a little gimpy out there tonight. I don't care because Harrison Barnes has been struggling to defend at times. And to have him try to defend Darius Garland in a key moment was big.
There were times that it was the Kings defense that was actually forcing turnovers. They weren't unforced turnovers by the Cavs. It was the presence of the defense, the intensity. Everyone was locked in. And there were times, of course, that there were line drives to the basket, especially in that second quarter when that second unit came in. And that was really frustrating to see. Or when Sabonis especially came out in that second quarter. But then you go into the third, and obviously Donovan Mitchell was just a bad man. Had some line drives on everybody on the Sacramento squad.
Some hezzies.
Yeah.
The way he could slow down,
dude,
in and out.
He's fantastic. But my whole point to this, though, as a team, everyone looked super locked in, play by play. Harrison Barnes, especially tonight on the defensive end, was just like that bigger presence that they needed against a bigger team like the Cavs.
The other guy you mentioned was Malik Monk.
Whew.
And this guy has been such a key pickup for Sacramento.
Yep.
Seemed like he kind of got off to a slow start here. Wasn't knocking down his shot. His playmaking has been so significant for this team.
Underrated.
And tonight, he ends up finishing with 14 points. He had 5 assists in the game for Sacramento and just 1 turnover. Let me just make sure I had that. 4-9 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3. He had that big assist late, 1 to Sabonis. He hung in the air for an hour, got to Sabonis. He had the other one to Kevin Huerter, who knocked down a big 3. Monk has brought it. And then it's also, for a guy that has a reputation of not being a good defensive player, and I'm not trying to, gas him up here like he is an all-defensive guy. He's competing. And this goes to the bigger picture of what Mike Brown and this coaching staff is doing. I love Mike Brown. And I know you said this a while ago, but I love his trust in guys. I love how he challenges guys. He even says tonight, you know what? I've made some mistakes in the first 10 games. I was probably trying some things. I wasn't sure of some things.
Yeah.
But one thing that Harrison Barnes mentioned after the game that stuck out to me, he was asked about the physicality.
Okay.
And dealing with the physicality. And he says for them, he believes they can handle physicality now and take some of these punches because of how physical they are and how competitive they are in practice.
And that's how it should be. That is, and Mike Brown, we've talked about how he's wanted to set that standard. And he's talked about setting that standard at practice because that is how you get better. And I think sometimes there are coaches with the philosophy of got to take it easy because it's a long season. There's a lot of games. No, you got to get beat up because you're going to take some real punches, some real hits in these games. And how are you going to be able to keep standing? And that's how they're able to keep standing. It doesn't matter if it's the smallest guy on the team or the biggest guy in Sabonis. This King squad is doing it in practice. It's translating on the floor in games. And I dig the standard that he has set on defense because you talk about Malik Monk and his ability to play defense. The reason why it's looking better is because not only does he play with 110% effort night in and night out on that end of the floor, but other guys are able to do their job as well, which means that trust is there and guys are going to look a little bit better when the team defense is looking better.
Donovan Mitchell giving some high praise to the Sacramento Kings. Let's hear what Donovan Mitchell had to say after the Kings beat the Cavs.
Hungry. And not to say that they didn't before, but they look like, they have a hunger about them collectively. They got the pieces. Fox has been doing this since our rookie year. But you add Sabonis, you have a veteran who does it all in Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, who's finding his way, Kevin Huerter, who can shoot. Davion, obviously, I know what he does. Malik, if you go down the line, you got guys that are playing for each other, and that's great to see out of them. Unfortunately, it was on our lost tonight. But after seeing them for so many times, so many over and over preseason and whatnot, this is, I would say, is one of the first times where I see this group and it's like, man, like they see where they want to go.
They see where they want to go. If you guys could hear that on the chat, I know it was pretty low there. I thought it was going to be a little hotter audio, but saying it's a group that's playing together. They're hungry, and he's noticing something different.
Yeah, and like we said, this was probably the Kings' best all-around game tonight against the Cavs, and I'm sure the Cavs, who have been playing at a very high level, really felt that different level of basketball from the Sacramento Kings. And there's a lot of teams, their reputation, you can usually walk in here in Sacramento and figure out how to get things done.